Hi! Impressive carrying skills, right? I got some Bud Lights for us. So, I kept hearing about this thing called March Madness, and I thought we were all just having a hectic month, but it turns out it has something to do with sports. And I'm not sure exactly which sport, but either way, it's a cause to celebrate. This month, I celebrated my day 365 of womanhood, and Bud Light sent me possibly the best gift ever, a can with my face on it. Check out my Instagram story to see how you can enjoy March Madness with Bud Light and maybe win some money too. Love ya! Cheers! Go team! Whatever team you love, I love too. Okay. Love ya. Okay, break a leg.
So during March Madness, a male-oriented event, Bud Light decided it would be a good idea to sponsor a man who is cosplaying as a woman. And this is not an April Fool's joke. On one hand, it's understandable because both are masquerading as something they are not. Bud Light is cannabis sold as beer, and Dylan is a man dressed like the most stereotypical woman you can imagine. I just don't understand what they thought the outcome would be. People who consume this horrible beer were outraged that the product they know, and for whatever reason, love, is being represented by a member of a group they don't particularly like. Either this was the absolute worst or most genius marketing move. Bud Light upset the consumers who buy their stuff, which is not a good move. But on the other hand, this move upset so many people that they got a ton of free publicity. Now the transgender community will drink this piss just to upset conservatives. Brilliant marketing.
Grandpa's feeling a little frisky today. Let me say something to all you and be as clear and concise as possible. Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch. Have a terrific day.
But this is not the only sponsor Dylan was able to attract. Another one is Tampax. You know, the brand that produces tampons. The stuff women put in their Barbie pouches. I don't really want to know where Dylan puts his tampons. After all, he doesn't possess that thing he calls a Barbie pouch. But that's not all. Our pert press Dylan is now also sponsored by Nike. Yes, you've heard that correctly. He, a man who has no breasts, is now a sports bra model. You can't make this stuff up. At this point, I'm convinced these brands are taking the piss out of people. Tampax with tampons that go into a body part Dylan doesn't have, and Nike with a bra that is also for a body part Dylan doesn't have. What's next? In my opinion, the only sponsor Dylan should have is Manscaped, so he can trim his balls, which he still didn't remove. Because as we all know, real women have testicles. Dylan also has sponsors like KitchenAid and at least 5 others. This guy is making an insane amount of money. Forget working your ass off at some 9-to-5 job or opening a business. This is the new way of making loads of cash. Say that you are a woman, and that you are oppressed by everyone and everything, and there you go, one sponsorship after another. Of course, Dylan Mulvaney is not the only person getting rich and using this transgender trend to his advantage. Fat acceptance activist Lizzo started selling clothes for gender non-conforming people. She is selling chest binders for women and tucking thongs for men. This is what her company Edie said. When we say we support everybody, we mean it. We believe in radical self-love for people of all gender identities, including the trans, non-binary, gender fluid, and gender non-conforming communities that have been chronically underserved. So we decided to take our expertise and create styles that serve those very same communities. They're talking about self-love while trying to hide your breasts or your wiener. Is that what self-love is today? Trying to change who you are and your body at all costs just to fit some sick imaginary version of yourself you created in your head? To me, that sounds like the exact opposite of self-love. And this isn't just some bizarre thing these people do while nobody is watching while at home. This stuff is being actively pushed through social media, television, and celebrities. Even the government joined and started promoting this BS. I'm sure you remember that trans person that did horrible things at a school in Nashville a week or so ago. I made a video about it that got demonetized before it even was published. Well, that happened, and the government swept it under the rug. The whole thing was only briefly addressed by Biden, who was more interested in talking about ice cream and children. Have a look.
My name is Joe Biden. I'm Dr. Joe Biden's husband. And I ate Jenny's ice cream, chocolate chip. I came down because I heard there was chocolate chip ice cream.
No, Joe. There was a national tragedy. 6 people lost their lives, including 3 children. But that's a reason to laugh, I guess.
By the way, I have a whole refrigerator full upstairs. You think I'm kidding? I'm not. God, I'd like to have you all here. And who are those good-looking kids back there? They're your kids, all 4 of them? Well, stand up, guys.
And they had the audacity to make a day of visibility for trans people right after that, just days after a woman identifying as trans made herself visible by shooting 6 people. We all know how invisible trans people are. You barely see them, ever. It's not like they are everywhere on TV, social media, and in schools indoctrinating your children. Or shooting them. And Joe Biden, who more or less didn't give a crap about the shooting, tweeted this. On Transgender Day of Visibility, we want you to know that we see you just as you are. Made in the image of God, and deserving of dignity, respect, and support. We'll never stop working to create a world where you won't have to be brave just to be yourself. You don't see these people as they are. You see them the way they demand to be seen. When we look at them objectively, they are either a biological male or a biological female. Most of them have a mental illness that causes gender dysphoria, but that does not make them the opposite gender. You cannot change your gender. Period. I agree, every human is made in the image of God. But what these people do to their bodies is not in the image of God. When you cut off parts of your body, you change the body God created. You no longer are the way God created you. Men cannot be women, and women cannot be men. But this wasn't the only tweet from the Biden administration. The press secretary also tweeted this. This year's Transgender Day of Visibility comes in the midst of a historic wave of attacks on transgender kids. Nearly 600 anti-LGBTQ bills have been filed so far this year in state houses across the country, and more than half target young people. What about the Christian kids that were targeted by this mentally ill woman that identified as a man? She also tweeted this. As the president has said, transgender youth are the bravest people we know and should have the freedom to live their lives free from political attacks. To transgender folks across the country, this administration has your back. The bravest people. I agree, cutting your dick off is brave. Or stupid. Depends how you look at it. But how can they say trans youth are the bravest people? What about firefighters? Or policemen? What about soldiers? No, I'm sure gender-confused kids with parents who have no balls to step in and say that enough is enough are much more brave than actual heroes.